Hello, everybody. Are we ready to do the Friday night hangout? I know we got peeps here already.
Oh boy.
And tonight, let me tell you guys, it's a Van Halen night, and we actually have our first round of guests with us. And you know, one of them, I'm going to bring him in right now, Tris Mahaffay, which you probably saw on the advertisement for tonight. One of my best friends here, Tris, who's the CEO of Mahaffay Amplifiers, and we got to get you to check out his website tonight. I'll tell you, he's a real good friend. He gave me this. You know, you got a good friend when he gives you an amplifier,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
And we'll get a couple things out of the way here real quick before we forget. Tris, his band, the original Stryker band from the 80s, is going to be playing the Coach House on Sunday. Is that correct?
Yeah. Sunday at 7 p.m.
Sunday at 7 p.m., opening for Vinny. Do you pronounce it a piece?
In his case, he goes Appice.
He does. Damn it.
Yes.
I always pick the wrong one. That was going to be my first guess.
Right.
So Vinny Appice's Sabbath Nights, doing all Sabbath and Dio, the greatest hits of those bands. Pretty freaking cool.
That's
And
awesome.
if you haven't been to the Coach House, that place has been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call it a dive bar, but kind of, it's like, what would you call it? Like a medium-sized theater-ish kind of.
It's we are so lucky to have that club because main acts come through there and gives us guys like our band, a shot to open up for acts that come through. And the place itself, I think it started as a steakhouse in the 70s. And
Okay.
then they started having live music, and all of a sudden it turned into more of an original club. I mean, it's all original music they play there. I guess they've been doing some of the tribute stuff lately, but we don't care about that. But no offense. But yeah, I mean, the food is good there. It's top notch. It's great stage.
We got to take a second here and
like
welcome Steve Rosen
There he is.
to the
Hey, guys.
stage, our second guest. And if you've checked out Tonechaser, Understanding Edward, my 26-year journey, Steve's the author of that. And I first met Steve, God, probably over a year ago. We had you on the Chris Aiken Presents.
That's right.
I don't know if you remember that, but
do.
I do. It was a great
do.
time, and we're stoked to have you back. Somewhere between then and today, you and Tris kind of became buddies.
We
How'd
did.
that happen? How'd you guys meet?
Turned out we lived about 15 minutes apart. A buddy of mine who was forever searching out new gear. I mean, he was really a tone chaser. I mean, he has a ton of different guitars. He was always buying different heads and cabinets and things. He told me about this Mahaffay amp, that he had. And I can't remember if he brought it over to my pad or I drove down to his place. And he just lives a little south of where Tris and I live here in Orange County. It was like this little tiny amp, and the thing screamed. And I thought it was amazing. I thought, my God.
Yeah, Tris is pointing to it right now in the background. What's the weight on that, Tris? It's only like 10 pounds or something, or
8.
8. Wow.
Yeah,
It's very lightweight.
It's about the same weight as 2 of my Tonechaser books. So very,
Nice.
very easy to carry. So I was playing through, and I thought it was amazing because, to be honest, I sound horrible through every amp I played through.
Not true.
But this was great, and it was simple, and so I went and bought one. I got one from Tris, and I didn't know Tris at the time, and I was on his site. Actually, I'm sorry, I bought one from my buddy. Maybe hard to remember, but so I went to Tris's site, and I saw his address was literally 15 minutes away. So I think I reached out about the book. Hey man, I wrote this book, and you want to check it out, blah blah blah. And we kind of finally got together, and I've been hanging out ever since. And we're doing the NAMM show together for the second time in January, and it's great. I mean, the guy is freaking amazing. Look, man, I've been around a lot of these guys who kind of build amps and all these things, and Triss's approach is unique, and his amps sound incredible. Everybody who plays with them just thinks they're amazing, you know. So it's not like me just, you know, spewing out this, you know, this language because we're buddies. But the amps are amazing, and he kind of built me like a little combo amp that I wanted, because for me to deal with a head and a cabinet, that's like beyond my pay grade, you know. Just make it simple. Just put it in one box. Let me turn a knob. There's 3 knobs on it, you know. So it's like it's amazing. Honestly, and I just got it a few weeks ago from Chris and plugged in my guitar, man. And he, you know, dialed in these little tones and settings, and it screams. So so we've been hanging out. What's that?
Now he sounds like Ed.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve, what's your go-to guitar when you're jamming at home? What do you play? What kind of guitar is it?
Mike Tempesta, who is A&R right over at EVH Guitars, right, or Fender.
Nice.
You know, and Mike's a player himself. Mike was in a band, Powerman 5000, and he's played around.
Right.
Really good guitar player, right? And he very kindly sent me. Hang on one second.
Okay. Well, he's going. This is his book, guys. If you don't have it yet, he was nice enough to give me the audio version, and it's super awesome. Anyways, that was a little live.
So Mike,
look at that.
Kindly sent me this. You know, one of the
OG ones
of Edward's Black and White, and it's amazing. You know, and again, I for me, look, man, you know, one knob is about all I can deal with. So now I got 3 knobs on an amp, 1 knob on a guitar, and
that looks sweet.
All you need. That's all you need.
Right. And then a buddy of Triss's who he turned me on to, and I forget his name, who actually lived close to me, set it up. You know, the way Edward had his vibrato bar, man, was really stiff. You know, and it didn't pull back, and it was just. It was just hard for me to deal with.
I could speak on this a little bit, knowing that these were secrets he held very close to the chest back in the day, in the 70s. He didn't want anybody to know how to do their guitar that way at first. You know what I mean? It took years for people to learn these secrets of blocking off the tremolo and little things that he had. I mean, maybe he let somebody he really respected know, maybe one of his platinum player buddies perhaps, but would you agree with that? I would. Honestly, I don't know if he actually would turn his guitar buddies onto it. I think it was more between Edward and you know, the techs at the time. I mean, you know, Rudy Laren, you know, who's Edward's friend, you know, going way back to the backyard party days. And you know, it's funny because there's, you know, the stories of Edward turning around, you know, so no one could see him playing the hammer-ons and all of that stuff. I mean, the reality is we now have all of the amps and guitars and pickups and vibrato bar setups exactly as he used, you know. And there's people that sound like Edward for sure, but you know, there's still only one Edward. So it was funny that he was so kind of proprietary about that. You know, he always looked on it like, hey, you know, he encouraged people to, hey, go out and find your own thing. You know, don't copy what I'm doing. So it really came from there, as opposed to well, I'm going to hoard this on myself. I'm going to keep it. You know what I mean? Over the years as a guitarist, I've seen all kinds of little toys that have been put out to get Edward's tone, different phaser pedals, and you'd have to buy all this stuff to try to put the sounds. I think in 2025 they have the most streamlined version through IK Multimedia that's now offering the Brown Sounds 3 different collections of amps. And because we were doing the show today, I go, you know what? I got to buy this thing just for home recording, you know? And I they had 50% off today, if anybody's wondering on that. But so I bought the first one, which was the 78, 79 collection. And then I skipped over to the 83, 84 collection. And then I had some jam points. It ended up being like $90 for that. But you get all those amps of his, all the plexis, But like you said, I mean, just because I have those there doesn't mean I'm going to sound exactly like them when I go to play. It's in your fingers, it's in the soul. And as we know, with all the YouTube guitar players that play Van Halen stuff, none of them get it right.
Not many. Not many.
So
Because it came from up here. It's in his
Yeah.
brain.
Right.
I mean,
You know?
Eric, so what did you think about that? You know,
About
the,
them offering these tones
I mean,
like this.
I mean, you've got amazing ears. I mean, what?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll tell you, I'm in the middle of doing Stephen Piercy from Rat, his new solo record, and I was up at Matt's studio in Burbank, and he already had these packages,
Huh.
and I already started using some of those, a couple of the tones for some of the stuff, some of the cleaner things I was doing. We started going through those tones, and they were really great. I mean, they were captured well. This guy that put those together, I'm not sure how he did that exactly. I mean, if he actually had the analog gear.
Well, that's Jim Gostard. Yes,
Okay.
he does, because he's the one who's written the book on getting Ed's tone with an amp and a guitar. That's it. So I mean, he's the guy,
Mhm.
and yeah, he's the one who helped them with those tones. So I mean, it's no wonder, because you watch his channel and that's all you got to hear. He's one of the best at comping that tone and that feel.
Right.
You know, because the feel, you can't just play the guitar and expect it to sound like Ed. It's
Mhm.
how he held his, palm to the strings. It's how he plucked the note. It's just like any other, famous guitar player. They have something about them that
Right.
makes that nuance.
It was the nicotine on the fingers, the way it enhanced the vibrato.
Honestly, I think it was playing endlessly, probably since I don't know when he started, 12 or 13, literally every day, 24 hours a day.
Right.
You reach a certain point, and the foundation of his playing too didn't come like we're trying to play him. He was listening to Clapton and, a lot of the other earlier guitar players who were not fast,
Right.
but he just through the process of playing a lot, developed his speed and dexterity. And that's,
Right.
there's only one way to do that, and you got to put the time in,
Sure. Well, he lived at home, right? He was able to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think his parents really made him go out and work much or do whatever. They just let him and Alex do whatever
Right.
they wanted, right? And
They're a musician.
yeah, Steve, you knew him back then, and thank you, by the way, for hooking me up with the audio book a couple years back. I did truly enjoy it, and it was in your voice, which was really cool. And the author knows how to read his own book. I mean,
Well,
I wouldn't have had anybody else do it.
Well, it's almost like what Tris was just saying. All this gear is designed to kind of emulate Edward, and you say an author can read his own work. So I'm trying to chase after my own words. I mean, it was not easy. I mean,
Right.
I've been reading for about 800 years, but it's one thing to read the Tonechaser. It's another thing to kind of sit there
Okay.
and recite it.
So I did coin something here for Steve, which is he's the word chaser.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
right. I was going to throw that one out, and you
Sorry.
beat me to it.
I really like that.
Good quip. Well, let's throw Roth in here. I don't know if Steve saw that. Now, I brought this up because I enjoyed it when I was flying, when I was traveling. I listened to this all my layovers and everything, and I really felt like it put me there back into like the late 70s. You guys meeting, and you really did become friends to the point where Ed was like showing up to your apartment sometimes. I remember hearing him like taking your crappy guitar and trying to make it work, and actually showing you a
Exactly.
couple things. Right?
Exactly. He walks in my little guest house in the Hollywood Hills, and he sees my Strat. I had a '66 Strat, and again, I write famously. It was forever out of tune. I mean, I put my fingers on the strings and it was out of tune. So he picks it up. The first thing he did, he goes, "Hey man, can I take this knob off?" I take mine off because it gets in the way. I go, "Do whatever you want, man." And he's noodling and he's playing, and of course it's in perfect tune, and he's banging the shit out of the whammy bar and staying in tune. It was remarkable. It was in those moments when you're close up You know,
Right.
I mean, it's like having a front row seat at the basketball game, and you can see how these guys are, you know, actually dribbling the ball and how their hands, you know what I mean? It's like seeing that up close.
Right.
You realize, or I realized how incredible he was. Look, I knew he was incredible, but you
Sure.
see that, and it's like it's astonishing. You know what I mean? It's just it's artistry. It's really beautiful, you know. And I think I might have likened it to, you know, Van Gogh with a paintbrush in his hand, or, you know, for me it was John Steinbeck, you know, sitting at the typewriter writing of Mice and Men. But it was pretty amazing. And just to jump back to the audiobook for a second, Eric, the audiobook really is amazing. And again, for those who don't know, I do the main narration, but all those interviews you read in the book that I conducted with Edward going back to 78 are embedded with those actual recordings. So you're hearing Edward talking going back to 78. And it's one thing to read those words on a page, you know, me asking Edward, when did you start playing? Edward, I started playing when I was 12 and I started smoking when I was 13, whatever he said, you know, but it's entirely different. And to my mind, another level deeper to hear it in his voice. And thinking what he was talking about the second record before it came out. So it's not like Edward would, you know, 20 years after the record came out, he'd be talking about the record and he's thinking back. It's sort of like right there in that moment. And to me, that was pretty amazing. And while we're here, just real quickly, a real quick little advertisement. I was able to finally get the audiobook up on Audible. Which, as everybody probably knows, is Amazon's proprietary audiobook site, you know. And man, that was hard. They require the levels of each. You upload an audiobook by chapters, right?
Okay.
So a chapter goes in, and the chapter would go through. And I didn't do this because I didn't have a clue how to do it. My buddy Adam Roach did it, a very good friend in Australia. And so you put in the file for chapter 15, and it will tell you, oh no, it went too loud at 18 minutes. So you literally have to go back in and bring that down. But then when you bring that down, that other thing over there, and it's
wow.
So
you're tail chaser. You're a tail chaser, right?
Exactly. You're tail chaser, tone chaser. But I mean, part of me understands, quality control, but it was rough, but I'm
stressful.
pretty happy that it's up there, and
totally. So. Congratulations, Steve. That's awesome, man. So now, so if you go on Amazon, you can click to their audio section and find this, and it's called what now again? Audio what?
No, Audible is not
Audible. There we go.
Right. Kindle is Amazon's ebook.
Okay.
So there's also an ebook, right, that you put on your tablet or whatever. So that's available on the Amazon site. But the Amazon site, no, somehow Audible is separate from that. So you actually have to go to audible.com and just type in Tonechaser and it'll come up. So you can't access the audiobook on the Amazon site.
So, but they own Audible for somehow? They're okay.
Yes.
But they've kept it, they're a separate entity as far as to the public goes.
Exactly.
You have to go
So the reality is I think Audible represents about 60 or 70% of all audiobooks that are sold. So it's,
Well, hearing this news, Steve, just makes me want to.
No, that's not David Lee Roth. That's Erik.
Right. I wish.
Really nice.
Oh man. Now, I was talking to Tris earlier, and I'm like, what's some stuff we could hit Steve up about? And he mentioned something that was a real bombshell that he dropped on me.
What'd you say, Tris?
Oh, I got it. Yeah, that's.
Go ahead, Tris. Tell him what you said. What you said I should ask him about.
Well,
about jamming.
So the fact is that Steve Rosen is sitting on a song that Ed and him came up with, which is, well, if you've heard Audible or whatever, you've probably heard pieces of that.
Yeah.
But he actually is a co-writer on a song, right?
in a very loose sense. Look, I mean, I would love to say, yeah, Edward and I sat down one day up at 5150 and we came up with these chord changes and I came up with some lyrics, I could lie and say that. I mean, I would never do that. But sort of briefly, and I write about it in the book, and it's pretty amazing because, again, as Tris pointed out, you can hear Edward playing and hearing the song. This actually happened twice. So one time he comes over, I'm working with my buddy, Ron De La Vega, who's a very talented bass player, keyboard player. And we're working on a song that I'd written called Mortal Man. And Edward comes over and he pops in, he does the famous Jerry Seinfeld, pop in, no phone call, no announcement. There's a knock at the door, walks in, he's got the cigarette, and he sees Ron and I, working on a song, and 3 minutes into it, he grabs my guitar and he starts noodling, and he came up. That was more of an arrangement thing. I mean, it just, and again, you're sitting there and you go, oh my God, that's how he thinks. That's how those incredible arrangements come in, and his sense of theory and harmony. I mean, none of that stuff is accidental. Like, oh, he just happened to write 10 good songs on the first record or 10 good songs. I mean, he really knew. I don't know if he could sit down and tell you exactly what he was doing, but he knew more than he let on. I think he was pretty deep into music theory. I think if he really looked at his chords, he'd tell you, well, that's kind of that diminished thing I'm doing, and he wanted you to think that he couldn't read music. And I think he could read music pretty well, from his piano. But
am I wrong, Tristan? He started on piano though, right? Didn't he, Ed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good foundation for that. I did.
Yeah, exactly. So he could, again, I don't know if he could read,
chopping.
Exactly, complex music pieces.
He couldn't.
Yeah. But guitar chords, and kind of, left hand stuff. I mean, I have no doubt he could read that. So the other time is, so I'm up at 5150 and he says, hey man, let's jam. And again, I write about this, so these words come out of his mouth and I'm trying to tell you that I can't even keep a fucking guitar in tune. And he's saying, let's jam, So I'm thinking, oh God, what do you want? Yeah. And I tell him I just got paralysis in my left hand but he wouldn't take any of that, for him, it wasn't like, oh, let's jam. So, I can see how you are as a guitar player, and it was just never, it was just, I was there and he knew I kind of play guitar. So what else is he going to do? Let's jam. I mean, it was just, it was natural for him. So we sit down, and more terrifying is he gives me the guitar and he plays bass. It's like, I'd much rather play bass, there's only 4 strings that I could pick up at that point, So I go, Ed, you want to switch? He goes, no. So I start playing. Well, first I'm sitting there, honestly trying to control myself, go, okay, man, just be cool, be control, play something, So I started playing this riff that I had been working on, it was a verse song I did, but it was pretty cool. And it actually had a little bit of a Van Halen, that
like finger picky kind of thing he does.
Exactly.
Right.
It wasn't like chords. It wasn't like folk chords or, it had a slight Van Halen vibe.
Sure.
And when I started playing it, I realized it. And it wasn't because I was trying to write a riff that sounded like Van Halen, because my songwriting wasn't good that way, but it just had that feel. So I start playing, and 15 seconds later, he starts playing these bass parts. And we worked on it, honestly, probably for about an hour. And for some reason, he came and picked me up at my place that day. So he said, hey, man, I'm busy. I got to take you back home. So he drove me back home. Why he would have picked me up, I don't know. Or maybe he just wanted to drive, Sure. The only time that ever happened. As we're driving home, he goes, hey, man, so what are you going to do with that song?
Huh?
and so he says, and Tris, to your point, hey, man, would it be okay if I worked on it?
Wow.
So I don't think so, Ed. I think I'm going to work on myself. And it's like I'm thinking, oh my God, because back in the day, my greatest aspiration, I wanted to be a songwriter. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a guitar player in a band writing songs. That was my first love. So when he said that, I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to work on it. And can you imagine if the song gets finished and my name is on there, Edward Van Halen, Steve Rosen? I go, my God, the doors are going to fly open. Record companies are going to come chasing after me. And kind of a week went by and a couple of weeks went by. I'm kind of waiting to hear from him. I never said anything to him, and maybe I should have. Edward, hey man, you were going to work on the song. I just felt funny doing it, so nothing ever came of the song. But that riff with his bass playing is on there,
Right.
And you could come up with a chorus, and he actually came up with a couple of these changes that were amazing. I mean, they were really incredible. Not in a million years would I have thought that they went completely out of the key. I think the song is like an A minor or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple, but he went to like F sharp major or some outside chord change. But with him,
we call that the key of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But now, if you have, Steve, more than one part, you got a song pretty much. I mean, probably even with the one. But if you're saying you already have multiple these changes he's done, you definitely have enough to assemble this song.
Part of me says it would be really interesting to follow up on it and
right.
And finish it, kind of in the same way. And I'm not putting myself on this level whatsoever. I'm putting Edward sort of on that level. When John Lennon passed away and the three other guys finished the song, how would John have done it, So trying to put my head space somewhere, and again, I can never do that. But, honestly, I think people, look, I think some people, maybe like you guys, would think, wow, that's so cool. Listen to Edward playing bass. And this bass playing was amazing. And it was a cross between like John Entwistle meets Bogart, and his tone and oh my God, his feel. And then other people say, oh, Rosen, you fucking jackal. How could you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't need it in my life. So it remains a wonderful anecdote and, kind of a thing. So,
well, you got to wonder if it could have wound up on one of those 2-inch reels of Ampex tape in that
I know.
room.
I know. And this is really going to get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
This was not.
You did it, not me.
Well, wait 1 second. What do you got?
I think it was on, and two separate people pointed this out to me. It's not me. I didn't come up with this theory here. I think it's on the Gary Sharon record.
Okay.
The 3 album. There's a song, and they said, "Hey, Steve," and I don't know these people. Hey, Steve, you ever listen? And I can't think of the name of the song. I'm sorry about that. They said, "Have you heard this?" And I go, "I didn't know what they were talking about." They heard this riff because I think there's a bit of it in
that song,
in the audiobook.
Okay.
That's must be
you got to hear it, Eric.
Okay.
And so I go and I listen to it and I go, wow,
that's it.
It's
close.
Look, again, people are going to scream, "Oh, Rosen, yeah, now you're writing songs for Edward Van Halen." Fuck you, you're a liar.
I think I might have heard a little piece of it in Jump, actually.
For real?
No.
Yeah, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, in Edward's brain was that little piece sitting up there.
Definitely.
I'd like to think so,
right.
But who knows?
He does that even in his solo. He had that one piece he would always play live, the down, scat down, down. And finally it ended up on an album at some point, later. He toys with things and eventually pulls it back out of his pocket. Now there's some options. I mean, with AI, of course, that's all the latest talk, and now that they've released Suni to the public, everybody's a songwriter now, and I guess it has the capability to put ideas into it. I mean, that could be a potential option, but what I'm seeing now as AI has recently, Suni specifically, has changed their terms of service, where you're not always going to own that thing you had it made on their platform. They're slipping in all this fine print, and ultimately, for you to continue being able to use that thing you made, you're gonna have to start paying them on a monthly basis, so you have to be careful probably what you upload onto there. And I agree with Tris that this is a bombshell, that we're sitting on here with Steve perhaps having anything Ed did that we haven't heard yet.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And there's even more of that song Mortal Man. I think I put up a little bit, but he plays a fair amount of solos on there, soloing,
right,
and stuff. That AI thing, I'm repulsed by it. I mean,
sure.
I think it's horrific. My brother used to goof. He goes, "Hey man, you're lucky there was an AI around before you wrote your book." Or the
I do have one.
Yeah, so I mean, never in a million years would I.
Right.
That's just me. If you like AI, great, go knock yourself out. But I would
not for music. I refuse. And I'm so glad. I mean, even when it comes to this record we're doing right now, this could have been a problem if I was a guy who actually didn't write his own stuff, and then Steven's all excited about this record, and then all of a sudden this announcement from Suni that oh man, Piercy's going to have to pay a monthly installments for this record he thought was original from me. So I was proud of that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, no, this was absolutely every riff that came up was from me. Now, where I slip, and you're not going to be happy to hear this, is like I do occasionally use Chat GPT as a YouTube creator when I don't have the time to always give a full detailed synopsis of something, and for time purposes I've cheated in that capacity. But what's embarrassing about it is how blatantly obvious it is that I did it when you look at it, in the description. And I will say that I'm so bad at prompting that I end up writing the whole thing anyway. The one I did for this episode, I actually wrote most of it, and it didn't change that much, to tell you the truth. So I don't know. I know I'm BSing.
Yeah, I get it. Look, ChatGPT is marginally less offensive. I mean, I get it. I mean, my buddy, for the hell of it, typed in. I've already typed in, how I could sell, millions of books, and it comes up with stuff that, like you'd already thought of those things. I had thought of those things, but it, I mean, that thing is smarter than you and me. I mean, let's face it. But
it's faster. That's about it. It's just faster.
It's faster, but it's only kind of spitting back at you what it's,
That's right. What it's been trained to do, right? And right now, musically, that's very obvious to me because they're training it on this modern production of music that's just too perfect and auto-tuned and fake. Yeah. And when you're training your whole system on that, all the songs it comes up with have that same soulless feel. To bring it back to Ed, there's so much that he does, so many little nuances and pushes and pulls that happen that you can't physically grid up a Van Halen song.
No, absolutely not.
I had a friend of mine want to do a cover of Spanish Guitars. Is that right?
Spanish Fly.
What's that?
Spanish Fly.
Well, you froze up on me there, Tris. What happened? Say it one more time.
Spanish
Fly. Yeah. I think, or no, what's the one? Senorita, I'm in trouble again.
Oh, Little Guitars.
Little Guitars. Thank you. I'm sorry. Gonna get my Van Halen card pulled here. Anyways, he wanted to do this song, and even Alex, he doesn't get enough credit on the drums. And this is a Van Halen night, so we should cover more than just Ed. But there's no way I could have replicated Alex's drums on that song. It was just, I couldn't get the sound that he had back then in the late 70s, early 80s, just the nuances of his playing, and there's no way. And I actually was able to find somebody had taken just the drums and put it up on YouTube. And so I cheated that way. I actually took Alex's drums, and then I was able to recreate the song. but I needed that foundation to be able to do it, because if I had just done your typical put in the BPMs and had this grid and Logic or Pro Tools or whatever and tried to do this, it would not even have the same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot to that, because I'm not going to say they didn't use click track, because you've obviously heard clicks in their recordings, but I think they probably more than often didn't, or used it partially and then let it roll, something like that, which is what's so difficult. And Alex is such a dynamic player. He plays what he wants when he wants. And it's it's almost a Keith Moon thing, but by far more in the pocket. But you can't copy that kind of drum playing.
No, I will say we're talking about Alex right now, and in the present time, he's actually reaching out to friends and going into the vault.
Really?
At 5150.
Ah, nice.
Right. Now, this seems like maybe Steve's idea is something that Alex is ready to entertain.
Wouldn't that be something?
That should be the first place you go.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that'd be amazing, man. I'll give him every tape and cassette I have of those moments.
Right.
Be incredible for sure.
He wasn't ready for this at first. When Ed first passed, he kind of just no one could find him or talk to him. It seemed,
understandably,
right. But he's finally, seems to be coming around and actually interested in getting it going. Yeah.
I got a question for Steve. I don't think I've asked you this before, but how much have we not heard of the recordings that you have with Ed in these midnight sessions, we'll call them, or drive-bys?
You've probably heard about 90%.
Okay.
So there's not a whole lot more that you haven't heard. What's so cool about the audiobook is so in the hardback, Edward would finish a comment, and that would be all I would transcribe, because maybe the rest of it is just him, going off topic or saying stuff. But in the audiobook, I think all of that stuff is in there, and there's probably some really interesting little bits and pieces, for the sake of length. I'm thinking, well, if I can cut off a few words here and there, the book is, won't end up being 600 pages long. But I kind of looked at it like, look, man, if I'm going to write the book, I'm going to provide everything that I've kind of recorded with him. Again, it took me a very long time to kind of come to that place, one to write the book, and two to allow all that audio out there. For me, it was like, hey, this is mine. I'm gonna keep this for myself. But then I thought, there's probably an audience out there, and I was in a lucky place, and I really do want to share it. And so it feels pretty amazing doing that. But in answer to your question, Tris, it's probably about 90%. There's not a whole lot. There's probably a couple of bits and pieces I didn't include. They were kind of personal to me, so I just kind of.
Now, Tris has had a couple close run-ins with Eddie as well, and one in particular is my favorite story. And I don't know if you still have the business card.
I do
with you, but we're gonna tell the whole.
Oh, I don't have it with me.
You don't have it with you. Gosh darn it, Tris! You knew I told you we were going to.
I thought you had a picture of it.
Listen, do you have it?
I could text it to you really quick.
Well, let's just tell the story. Let's not hold up our audience here.
Actually, if you go plug to the original Stryker Facebook page,
okay,
it's on there. It's
all right.
Like, I get teased about it all the time. But the story is that I went to the NAMM show. There's a lot to the story, but I'll keep it to the Ed part of it, which was, so Ed, Van Halen came out in 78. So I was in high school. So that was more about high school. Van Halen comes out and Eddie just explodes. And I've told the story a few times where, as soon as Van Halen came out, I took my guitar off and I put it on the other side of the room and stared at it and went, "What now?" Exactly. It's over. So that's the level of impact he made.
Right.
So
you wanted to give up. You were going to give up.
Yeah, I have given up. I have given up. I just mess around now. I gave up years ago. This is all just for fun, being serious, because what are you going to do past that? And, everyone started going down the road of copying the tapping and all that sort of stuff. Right. But anyways, so I went to the NAMM show. I got lucky enough to get a pass to the NAMM show. And, he was in the Kramer booth. Kramer booth was small. It was like maybe 10 by 20. And he's sitting there or standing there with the crowd. And there's a big crowd around him. And for some reason, my friends just said, "Go up and talk to him." It's like, what am I going to say? I mean, it was like seeing, of course, you get tongue tied. You don't know what to say. But so what I did do is I handed him my business card. And then Stryker business card. It's the same band, same members since 1980. That's how long we've been together. And he signed that card in a rather unique fashion, which people can go and see it. And he tried to take it back, and I kept it.
Right.
And later I thought, man, I really should have just had him give me a real, autograph that was heartfelt or something like that. But I thought it was so comical that I kept it. And it's been on a few other internet. People have seen it. People laugh their butt off when they see it. Yeah,
this card, he took your card, and you were like, he writes on it, "Tris is a big homo."
Yeah, he says, "Tris, you fucking homo."
Oh, well, there you go. "Tris, you fucking homo."
Yeah, that's what he said.
And then hands it back to you, but he's just playing around. And he grabs it, and he tries to take it back, and you're like, "Nope, this is staying with me," because you knew that this guy's going to be an icon.
Well, he already was. So it's like people that were there with me, they were like, "Oh, you should just, see if you can get another card." But I mean, there were so many people at that point. But when I got home, I showed it to my mom, and my mom was furious. She was going to "Where does he live?" Boom, boom, boom.
Oh.
I'm going to tell him something like, no.
The nerve of that boy.
Totally. How could he, disrespect you or something like that? So I sat on it for years. I mean,
was your mom Tipper Gore by chance?
Yeah, right. So my family, my mom and my father was in the music industry. So that's a whole nother story of how the music industry can chew you up. So that was probably just another thing for her. Oh, there's another bashing, the Mahaffays have taken. But I kept it, and I kept it all these years. It's been in a little, those little, if you go on vacation, like the redwoods, this little redwood box that, the little wood boxes. I've had one of those for ages, and it's been sitting in there. And when Ed passed, I finally went to that box, not knowing if it was in there because I just hadn't opened it in years. And there it was.
Was it similar to my Sea Glass Hunters box here? Something like this?
It looks just like that. Yes. But yeah, so I mean, that's the...
Yeah, you know what I should... if I had the Roth... See, I already screwed this joke up. This would have been good if I have a box with his voice. It closes.
You might have a product there, Erik.
That's literally a voice box, right?
Yeah, there you go.
They had, stuff like that when I was a little kid. Those little laugh boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Low tech laughs.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, that's the story. And I never got a chance to meet Ed. I had many chances.
Okay.
But I never took advantage of it. I was always probably really shy. One of which is the amp, because Steve Rosen at any time could have taken it over and showed it to him had we known each other, or even.
He'd be like, "Put it over there with the rest of them," and there'd be like 400 amps.
And get another amp, right? That's what I really need. But that was that same day. I actually, before the card signing, he was in a booth. No one. He was kind of funny. He's like, he walked in. I think he had shoes on, but he was like wearing pajama bottoms and a t-shirt. Schlitz malt liquor, dark sunglasses. And he goes into a little booth at the NAMM show that had the little guitars, the little miniature Les Pauls and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was Chiquita, but it was somebody like that. But he's in that booth and nobody knew he was there. So again, my friend's like, hey, go talk to him. So I knelt down next to him and he looked at me with his sunglasses and he goes, got a pick? I'm like, you're Edward Van Halen. You don't have a pick on you? So I gave him my striker pick because we had merch. And he took that pick and played with it. Didn't give it back. I didn't want it back, but that was another part of the story there. So again, I never got a chance to meet him for real. I wish I would. I think, Steve, do you think he would have liked me or do you think he would have kicked me out of town?
I think he would have disliked you intensely, Tris.
Right. He would have called you a big fucking homo. And then he would have said,
"Get your dirty dick out of here."
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess it depends on the era.
He. I think Edward dealt with people sort of how we felt, as opposed to something empirical. Oh, you're a fucking asshole. It's like, he kind of felt things.
Well, okay. So let me finish off with this: is that I've heard that he called very few people that.
Right.
So that he actually, somebody sent me, might have been Kurt James, but somebody sent me a picture that Ed had wrote, "Steve, you fucking homo," to Stephen Toto, and he put it on the
right. Steve Lukather we're talking about, which is I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought him up because that is who Alex is reaching out to, by the way, to handpicked him to do the vault of unreleased music. Okay, Tris, go on.
So anyways, I guess I'm part of a unique club, which makes it even better. Unless, I don't know.
The Homo Club.
Did he say that all the time? Was that part of his thing?
No. I can't that is Luke's sense of humor. With Luke is always, oh, you fucking fag, oh, you homo.
Oh my God.
That's how Luke talks. So if Edward's around Luke,
I've heard him now.
Right. They're just They're being playful.
They are. They're goofing around.
Right.
Yeah.
The homo is actually less offensive. It could be a lot of things. There's lots of homo sapiens.
Homo sapien.
That's right. And we should and in Ed's honor, we should bring it back. And nobody should be throwing that 3-letter F word around. And we should bring back homo.
I wasn't offended at all. I think everybody just thought it was really funny, and it was a great experience, and not many have that. So people call me, I'll talk to someone, and it's like, God, I wish I had something like. I wish he would have called me a name, because it kind of puts you on a different level, I guess.
One Van Halen fan we should mention is Warren DeMartini of Rat.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Being that he was such a young guy at that time, Ed was king to him. Mm-hmm. I've heard stories of Warren being down at Guitar Trader in San Diego, just playing Eruption over and over again till he nailed it. And you can see in some of Warren's faster lead stuff in the first album or so, he's copping some of the Eddie, licks from there. But
none of us can escape it.
Right. Well, where I'm going with this is you know Warren, and he is someone that you actually are friends with, and that you've made little amps with. And one of Warren's favorite amps, Tris made, and it's, what do you call it? It's like a little pig nose size.
So what it is the product I came out with in the 90s, late 90s, was the Little on a Lay, and I had a little mermaid on there, a bare-breasted mermaid playing on a rock, but it sounded like Terror. It's the same thing as that one right there that I'm pointing at.
Sounds like a tiny Terror.
It's just insane. It's like a little boogie sort of thing, and the way Warren got it is Performance Guitar had bought 2 of them from me, and I guess this is what Warren told me, is that Performance Guitar gave him one. He didn't know me. He didn't come to me to get it. And so later, I didn't even know he had it, But later what happened was Robbie got in the band as a bass player.
Right.
Okay. And then he's from Orange County.
Robbie Crane.
Yeah.
Robert.
So he knew of me, and we've crossed paths. And Robbie calls me on tour, Rat's on tour, and he calls me, he goes, hey, Warren's got this little amp and you made it. And it's broken and he needs this thing repaired. I'm like, Warren, who, And he said, let me hand you the phone. So take the phone call and it's Warren. I'm like, wow. Just an incredible experience to talk to him. And he said, hey man, I got this amp. I love it. It's something I'm very, it's one of my favorites. And can I send it to you? So he FedExed it to me. It broke a knob. It fell off.
During the transport of mailing it?
No.
Oh, that's just what the issue was he was having?
Yeah, he'd had it for years.
Okay.
And when I got it, it had some road use on it and stuff like that. So I repaired it and then FedExed it back to him on tour. And then he's had that thing ever since. And it's one of the early ones. It's a little different style. The circuit's exactly the same. I've never changed my circuit. So he's had that for quite some time. And he's one of those guitar players that I always looked up to, because he plays his own style. He doesn't tap and a lot of whammy bar and squeals and stuff like that.
Right. That was a rule in Rat. I mean, for one, I'll tell you this: the Rat guys worshipped Van Halen in the early days, and Robin Crosby was actually the connection to the band. I think he was already up there, and he was the one telling Steven, you got to get up here. There's this band, Van Halen. You're going to lose your mind. This is part of what inspired Stephen Pearcy to leave San Diego and head up and take his band, Mickey Rat, up to Hollywood. But Stephen did get to meet Ed and hang out at these shows through Robin. And back in, I guess, the very early days, Van Halen would try to put on the biggest possible visual stage show they could. And to do that, they would have to call in favors, like call up their buddies to bring some extra amps. And they could always count on Robin Crosby, always had a ton of gear. And they would go to the arena, like the San Diego Sports Arena, and go drive down and bring some extra amps and cabs for the stage. These are cool stories I get to hear from Pearcy.
I bet. Yeah.
About the Van Halen stuff. Come on, guys. It's the Unleashed channel, the only place you're going to get this. And of course, when you pick up the Tonechaser book at audible.com, get over there right now before the show ends.
Absolutely.
There you
go. Getting back to Triss's amps, Triss is like the world's best kept secret, and every single person who plays his amp goes, oh my God, this is amazing. In this world, in the creative world, where I think we're all in that world, you create something and it's good, and now how do I get it out there? How do I get, Warren to play the guitar, the amp, and put the name of the company on the next Rat record. It's a building the thing probably for Triss is the easy part. It's getting it out there. And so Triss and I are going to be again at NAMM this coming January. And I think that's an amazing sort of springboard for Triss. You're in these big rooms, filled with guitar players, some known, some not so known. And, Triss will have some of his gear there. And no, I'm not bringing my combo amp because I want to have the only fucking one in the world. Triss.
He's got a unique one. You do. Right. You got the only one of its kind for sure.
Well, Triss, would you ever make a replica of the little amp you made for Warren? Would you ever make a replica and call it like the Warren D? I don't know. You couldn't probably use his name, but
So there's a lot of artists, he included, that are very careful about what they put their name on, and I cannot blame them a minute for that. Plus the fact a lot of them. So just to give you an idea, the whole idea of my amp when I came out with it, it wasn't meant to replace the Boogie or Sedano or Marshall. It was meant as an addition to, as you mentioned, kind of like the pig nose. This is a pig nose with tubes and it's hybrid and it's powerful. It's 33 watts, little drive 412 cabinets at stage volume. I mean, that is a beast of a little amplifier, just a little one over there. But again, I don't want to go up against the big guys because a lot of these artists they've got endorsement deals that, really can't be messed with, nor do I really want to. If somebody called me and said, hey, can we do a version of that? And I'd love to put my name on it. Of course I would do it, but I'm like the world's worst salesperson. I don't reach out.
Well,
Wait,
you know, you don't have to put his name on it, but you could say,
Yeah.
as seen by, as you've heard Warren use, perhaps.
Well-
I mean, but just through our stories, they go, yeah, actually do sell that amp. And when you're talking about it, you could say this guy loved it. I mean, you
Well,
don't have to put his
okay,
name on it.
so I can say that even the head, where is it? Right there. The new Hilowatt 45, it's the same circuit as what's in Warren's amp. It's the same circuit as what's in a lot of amps. Look at the the roster that's on the website. So I never changed it. The circuit was built in the early 90s when I had quit the music industry. I quit for 20 plus years, and I just wanted to do something, stay in the music industry. So that's why I built the amp.
Okay.
That circuit has never changed. You could buy a little Lana Lay 3350 from the 90s, and it's the same one that's shipping now. It's the same one that Steve Rosen has. The circuit's the same.
Okay.
I've never changed a thing.
This is Mahaffyamps.com, right, Tris?
Yes, it's mahaffyamps.com. We're on, we have a website. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere. A good friend of mine, Tom Prisgota, who's heading up all of the marketing, and he's incredible. And he's the guy who really stepped back and said, hey, why don't you reset this thing? Because you got to remember the company's 25 years old.
Right.
So it had a really, great time. And then other amps come out, and, I got less passionate about being so motivated to sell it.
Now you're going to be playing your amp at the Coach House on Sunday.
Always.
Fair assessment.
I will tell
Prediction.
I will tell you that since I built my own amp in the early 90s, I've never played through any other amplifier. It does exactly what I want it to do. And people ask me it. It's like I have no reason to play through another amp. It does exactly what it sounds better than I am a guitar player. In other words,
it does sound good when I'm at Tris's studio and he plays it. It sounds the best when he's using it with his.
I just hang on for the ride. I mean, I think that's really what it is. Like you jump on that, in our case, because we're off-roaders, you jump on the bike and you wrap the throttle,
Right.
hang on. And that's what this amp is. It's hang on for your life,
So just real quickly. So I saw Tris and Stryker play at the Coach House. When was that, Tris? When you
It was
opened
a
for
year ago, almost.
Pat Travers? It was a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, Pat Travers. I love Pat.
Yeah, he was great, and I had never seen Tris play. Look, I've been over to his studio, and he noodles. I go, wow, he's a good guitar player, But I was really intrigued, one, to see the band, two, to hear Tris playing through his gear, because I'm thinking to myself, well, if his amps don't scream live, I don't think I can be friends with this guy anymore. So he doesn't realize he was on display here. But honestly, man, his guitar was amazing. I could hear every note he played. Look, they opened for Pat Travers. Pat Travers was incredible. I was always a Pat Travers fan. I mean, who isn't? The guy's great. He kind of crossed that rock prog thing. I mean, he was amazing. And his guitar sounded great. But I'll tell you, Tris's guitar, for what he was doing, everything, man, it's not like, oh my God, Pat Travers sounded, Tris's sound. I mean, it was amazing. So, I mean, it's the real deal. I mean, again, anybody who hears it, anybody who plays it goes, oh my God, this is amazing, So
it's a different way of playing it. And this, Eric, because as a guitar player, you can get comfortable in reverb and delay and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
My rig's really simple. It's like you got to be on your game. Yeah,
you do.
Yeah, you cannot hide it with my amp, which is why there's the old Marshalls there. That's my lineage.
Yeah,
and you can't hide
DNA.
from that.
No.
You don't get to hide. So, and that's fine with me. I don't mind. I go out every time we go out and play. I just go, what? I'm just going to have a good night. I'm not going to plan to be Ed. I'm just going to have a good night.
Right.
Take the pressure off.
On that tip, I mean, I grew up listening to Van Halen. That was one of the few bands I bought with all their records as a kid, which is a big, heavy investment for a guy in his single digits to do. But I never even tried to really learn his stuff back then. I just took it in. And there was no way I would have been able to anyway, but I was able to enjoy it. And shortly after that, some other amazing guitarists were coming to light, Steve Vai and these people.
Yeah.
And I knew I was never going to be at that level, but I also was reasonable enough to like look at the bands that I enjoyed growing up, and I go, well, I could play like AC/DC, and I could play like these other things. I think I can go forth in rock music and still entertain people and have fun, and just let these guys be at the very top of the mountain. But that doesn't, I mean, variety is the spice of life, and people don't just want to listen to one band and one guitarist. You know what I mean? And they, if most people are probably like me, they love it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, don't sell yourself short, Eric, because you're a freaking phenomenal guitar player. That's what caught my eye, was that when I saw Stephen Pearcy, I immediately went, "Who's this guy?" Because you can clap you can do Warren if you want. You can do your thing. It's like the perfect, and you have a fucking badass image. I mean, the whole thing is a perfect package. So.
Well, thank you, sir. I play for the song. I mean, I think that's where people might get confused in the Guitar Hero world. I don't get really put over there because I'm not always showing off and making the videos at home. Right. 25 years playing Steven's band. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there. You can watch me getting it live.
Yes. Right
there. There's no doing it over in your bedroom and getting it. And most of the stuff's so fake that you're seeing out of these guitarists there. And yeah, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm sure I've had, off nights, good nights, or whatever. I'm happy I'm still here. But yeah, I'm a play for the song guy. And I think that's the thing that people, I'm not a show-offy guitarist.
Well, to go full circle on what I talked about earlier about when Van Halen came out and I put my guitar on the other side of the room and said, forget it. But to your point was that, well, wait a minute, I can write songs.
Right, exactly. That's worth so much more. Nobody that, like Ed is one of the very few guitarists that could noodle, but actually put an amazing song together.
Yeah. One
of the very, very few. But, he is of the Steve Lukather. You can see where those guys were friends. They were of that same, I don't know, talent, if you will. But for the most part, whenever I've the guitar players that do the Yngwie and the this and that, it's hard for those guys to put songs together where that is my strength, honestly. Yep. And there's Steven could get anybody to play, Pearcy could have anybody play in his band or whatever, but not anybody could write his album for him.
There you go.
What I mean? And and it's been 6 years, with the whole shutdowns, and I'm so excited to be back doing what my talent is, you know what I mean? Because again, you never know when your gig's gonna I got replaced by Warren DeMartini this year. You know what I mean? That's the only guy that I'm cool with that.
I would say you have no choice in that one. But
and look who came to the party, Char the cat.
Kitty cat.
That's right. Everybody's all my Facebook people know Char the cat. But.
I've seen the cat. I keep forgetting that we're live here, but we're putting in flooring at my house so that my wife and I can get a dog because we want pets.
I hope you rescue one if you can.
That's the thing. You want to do that. You
want to, but the wife wants some special snazzy kind of dog, purebred.
I think she's okay either way. But the house has to be prepared first.
Speaking of husbands and wives, I mean, nobody's really asked me this, but Chris Aiken, I think, broke up with me, everybody.
Yeah, Did he do it via text? Did he text?
Yes, he broke up with me through a text. After 3 years, I couldn't believe it. But as far as the Chris Aiken Presents, it's his show. It's Chris Aiken's show. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it sounded to me like he was like, hey, I'm going to be pulling back the reins in my life a little bit. You're doing good, man. Let's just send you the people and you do your show. And I don't think he's in his right mind. I don't know what's going on with that guy. But where am I going with this? Tuesday nights, folks. scared me.
Nice.
Right. So
Congratulations.
thank you very much. The Fright Bite, which is like one of the biggest kept secrets in my life. If you were a Facebook subscriber of mine, you would have been part of the monthly Fright Bites I used to do with Chris Aiken. This would have been once a month where we find like some of the worst, crappiest horror movies we can find, and similar to Elvira or Mystery Science Theater, if you're familiar with those old
that.
shows.
That was so cool.
So, Count Cracula and Chris Aiken would host this once a month for the subscribers. And, the other day when I realized that my Tuesday nights are now open, I thought, what if I took the Fright Bite, maybe got rid of the movie aspect and did more of a live hangout?
Yeah.
And this amazing woman that I had met through Instagram, she was just following, I think she was a fan of Rat, which is Dahlia Dark. And she has the total image. I mean, she screams Fright Bite to me. I mean, when he said that we weren't going to be doing a show, and this woman had actually like messaged me about something else, I think licensing her name, or she was asking me some professional questions and whatnot. And I'm looking at her picture and I'm going, there was just like a bell that went off. And I go, would you have like any interest co-hosting a Fright Bite with me? And to my surprise, she said yes. And she's amazing. I don't know if you saw at the end. That is an AI version of her at the end, but she does look like that. She's very, very cool looking. Yeah. So we're bringing in
I'll be watching.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see, Tris. It's going to be amazing. But starts on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Count Cracula will be flying in for this with his little bat wings, and this will be the premiere of Dahlia Dark, which this is amazing, even for like the CMS audiences. They don't see too many chicks.
Right.
That's like pretty much a dude show, and so I'm hoping that changes. Well, no, it's going to get worse, right? It'll get worse. What am I thinking?
Probably.
It's going to it's going to stay a dude show. So check that out, everyone. And yeah, so you know what? Let me go. I think I've been neglecting our, what's this? A super chat? Oh, hang on. I gotta get in with my peeps here. Marsha gave us a super chat tonight.
Wonderful.
Well, let me see. Skylar, hello to my fellow Unleashed pals. Well, hello, Skylar. What else we got going? Tikas. Wonder if we can get Erik to speak on the Bullet Boys, becoming bullet men, going to Japan to ride the bullet train. Isn't what Mark said in a recent interview, going to Japan, bullet trains? I see where you're going with that. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet and do a Bullet Boys little blur. But yeah, the original dudes are back together. We got Mark Torian. Mick Sweda has just returned, we're finding out this week. Lonnie Vincent and Jimmy D'Anda, all the original Bullet Boys, are currently out playing. And that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, awesome.
I have to say. I was always a Bullet Boys fan. They were supposed to be the next Van Halen.
They were.
Ted Templeman had produced the band in the mid 80s there. Let me see. We got nice background. Well, yeah, I always try to have a nice background going on. Okay, fast and easy. Love Erik's jive. Looky here. I better get some grease and chumping on the butter. Some drinking. Okay, I'm like Ron Burgundy. I read this stuff no matter what's on the teleprompter, so you have to forgive me. Splon Guitars. What's up, Erik? Another fantastic amp company. You know me.
Great stuff.
I got to have all my tools for whatever the job requires. So, if it's a Splon job, I use my Splons. If it's my Mahaffay job, I use my Mahaffay. Just like guitars. I mean, us guitar players know how it is. You got to have one of everything, man, for what type of music you might end up playing.
It's your toolbox. It's your arsenal. That's what it's all about.
That's right. And the Brown sound. I'm excited. I mean, I downloaded the stuff tonight to have for myself here, but I did get to try some of those Brown sound packages from IK Multimedia, and very, very cool what I checked out so far. Of course, we are huge Eddie fans here. Yes, the Splon guys. I mean, they definitely Scott Splon is a huge Eddie fan, and he definitely built his amps off that old Marshall Plexi sound that, modded 800 vibe, and that's why my ears always liked the Splon stuff for that reason. Rat and Roll. I know you've heard this a million times, but family and friends from upstate New York really love and miss Eddie badly. Much love to you guys. First song I ever learned to play was Ain't Talking About Love. And that is my favorite Van Halen song. I don't know if you guys have been put on the spot to have to come up with what your favorite Van Halen song, if you had to narrow it down to one.
Ooh.
But Steve, Tris, either of you guys have a favorite that you could actually, or is it just too hard?
I'll tell you, everybody always says Unchained. It's always the go-to, but I'm the one probably.
I'm the one.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. That's a tough one. The problem is you can't really pick a favorite because there's not one Van Halen song that I don't like. Right? I mean, for me,
there is for me, and it starts around the Sammy Hagar era. The 5150 record had some.
Boy, that's a whole nother show there, isn't it? Right.
It's something to discuss. For the thumbnail tonight, Steve, I had grabbed a pic of you that it must have been from 1986 or 7. But that was you, Ed, and Sammy, and they got their arms around you. What's the story behind that photo?
That was shot by Ross Marino, who was a big kind of a rock photographer at the time. Ross passed away many, many years ago as a really young guy. But I'm trying to remember where that was. I think that was out here, maybe the sports arena, LA Sports Arena.
Kind of like a meet and greet scenario backstage at a show?
Yeah, that was probably, it might have been actually maybe before the show. I actually met Sammy way before he was ever in Van Halen. I mean, I think I'd interviewed him a couple times.
Sure, he was huge already, of course.
Yeah. And he was always a very cool guy. They were, you can see in that photo, they were, for Edward, I mean, it was a real romance,
They were still in the honeymoon phase of their 5150.
Exactly. And I kind of look at Edward, I think about it, so we see Gary Sharon. I think if Ed had kind of still, been around and making records, I think he would have brought in different singers and probably gone through different singers. I think for Edward, it was always, he was a Tonechaser, man. He was hearing that thing in his head as well. And again, what came into the equation here were personal differences, obviously between Dave and Sammy and that kind of thing. But I also think that Edward, because he was always writing and maybe thinking, maybe another singer or, I mean, I think about Jeff Beck. I mean, Jeff Beck never worked with the same group of musicians more than one or two records. I mean, right? Rod Stewart.
Carlos Santana is another guy, always
Carlos,
different.
Yeah. So, they hear things in their head, or they want, it's their band, it's their name on the marquee. They can do whatever they want. But,
how did you feel about it though at the time? I mean, this was a huge thing, and the fans were really divided at the time, and there you are knowing Ed personally, and obviously you were going to be Team Ed, I'm sure, either way, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I was that way. I felt that way as a kid. I mean, the transition, I knew whatever Ed did, I loved it when I was 15 years old. He couldn't do any wrong.
Right.
For me, now that I'm like 53 years old, looking back at the whole thing and making sense of my life, I'm like, when I listen to the 5150 record, I go, wow, that is a huge departure compared to the earlier dark vibes of some of the earlier Van Halen stuff, and the beautiful, pretty stuff too. But it all had more of an edge that definitely changed around the time that these guys got married and had kids, and the Sammy entering into the picture. Love walks in. Some type of alien pulls a string I don't even know what they're talking about. But what was going on in your head with all this when?
I suppose. When Dave left, and again I write about it famously in the book. Ed said, "Hey, go find me a singer." And I think, right, Edward, I'm going to find you a singer because your Rolodex doesn't have the names of any singers in it. Right? You couldn't reach out to anybody in the world to come sing in your band. Edward was sort of. the easiest way to get between 2 points sometimes, and the path of least resistance. And hey, Steve, go find me a singer. Had I taken it more seriously, I really would have looked for a singer. But so it runs into the Edward and Sammy happen to have the same mechanic, and yeah,
Claudio,
sure,
yeah,
right, Sammy. You get in the band. I guess what I was thinking about was, and Edward thought about it a lot too. Trust me, even though it doesn't maybe come out, Edward was well aware that Dave had put together this incredibly good band. I mean, Dave is if nothing else, he's an incredibly smart guy. I mean,
right.
He is a very, very smart guy, So who do you go? Yeah, well, get Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai and, Greg Bissonette. I mean, that is a killer band. I mean, he wasn't stupid. He wasn't going to go find guys who couldn't play. And Edward was aware of that,
Him and Steve Vai were actually friends. I was surprised to hear that they actually had hung out, and I think Steve had been to his studios before that even happened.
They were friendly. Steve had mad respect for him. Edward had huge respect for Billy Sheehan, loved his playing. I guess what I found remarkable is that they had as much success as they did with Sammy. That's a hard transition, man. You lose your lead singer at the height of your career, arguably.
Right, the 1984 album.
And you become even bigger. I mean, and I've had this conversation, and I can only think of one band. There's a couple others where that happened. AC/DC, right? Bon Scott passes away, and God, I always think of that guy, the new singer's name, the second guy who replaced Bon Scott.
Brian Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Back in Black comes out, and it's like they're bigger than they ever were. And there's one or two other bands. I can't think of them at the moment, but
Genesis.
that happened. What's that?
Genesis. Good one.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, that's true. But that's different. I mean, they weren't huge when.
That's true.
Right.
They were more underground before
Exactly.
Bruce Dickinson.
I mean, Edward was. Well, one, he was hurt that Dave left the way he did. He was fucking pissed. He felt disrespected. I mean, there was a lot of emotions running through him. I can say this with pretty much 100% confidence. Had Dave never left, that band would have remained together for the duration of Van Halen. He would have been in Van Halen up until Edward's passing, I believe.
It's the most bombastic version
of
the band for sure.
But I have to say, in Sammy's defense, Right Here, Right Now, I mean, that song chokes me up almost when you watch that video.
Right.
Yeah, it's a clever video.
Oh my gosh.
I think with 5150 though, it's funny. I call my channel Unleashed, and in the back of my mind, I copped that from when Van Halen did their first TV appearance to kind of gain the public votes, if you will, around the 5150 era on MTV. They did a Van Halen Unleashed. Our fans probably remember it. It was one of the first behind the scene road vlog type glimpses into Van Halen that we had been shown yet, and it was basically them on tour trying to show what a great time they're having and all this. But I feel that it worked because this was almost 10 years later, and that college crowd is now grown up and had kids and family, and maybe you're not going to play the misogynistic songs that they had back in the day, Beautiful Girls or whatever. I don't know. Maybe now their Love Walks In and these types of songs kind of suited the mood for that age group that was, concert going age when Van Halen.
It's very interesting because, as you mentioned, Sammy Hagar was huge. I mean, Can't Drive 55 and Standing Hampton album. I mean, he was amazing.
Right.
Saw him several times in concert. So, I mean, when this whole thing that he joined Van Halen, my first thing was why? But
he didn't need to necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, he,
Right.
I was thrown completely off by it.
Go ahead.
I
I get that. Look, Sammy was huge as a solo artist. Sammy was legendary with Van Halen. So anybody says that Sammy, why would he join Van Halen?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I remember talking to Sammy early when he joined the band. He goes, "Yeah, man, I didn't need to join the band. I find that a little. It's like, then why did you agree to it? You know what I mean? Look,
Right.
I get it. He was incredibly successful as a solo artist, but joining Van Halen is like,
Well, obviously, I mean,
you know what I mean. And look, he made a lot of money as a solo artist. I don't think it compared to the amount of money if we're just talking about hard, cold facts that he made with
Right.
Van Halen. But
He's made majority's money off tequila.
Yeah, no
In
shit.
the last years. I mean, really, the success that Sammy's come into with the whole Cabo thing. Were you friends with them when they originally bought into the company where he had the brothers as financiers and they were living down there and all that?
I did. You know, you bring that up. So let me backtrack just a moment
Okay.
here so I can
Yeah,
frame
yeah.
this. So back in
Please do.
1986, I've been friends with Edward for about 9 years. I knew that writers were going to approach Edward. They're going to want to write his life story, and I finally built up the courage to ask him, Edward, I want to write your authorized biography, and he said yes, which is pretty amazing. So I began working on that book, interviewing people. Worked on for about 4 years. What I needed to do to kind of finish it was to sit down with Edward, and I had this conversation with him so many fucking times. Edward, hey man, we need to sit down. I need to do some more interviews with you for the book, and not about his guitars or what kind of effects he was using on the record, because I'd had those conversations. But you know, his childhood and you know, Dave leaving, you know, because we didn't have a lot of conversations. All these things that I thought I was going to have more time to talk with him about, it didn't happen. So, in answer to your question, Eric, we did talk about it. I wish I had talked to him more about it. You know, I mean, it was so many things I wanted to talk to him about, but he was, yeah. You know, first, you know, he and Sammy go in, and I guess Alex is part of that, and they get Cabo Wabo, and then I don't know exactly what happened. Edward talked about it a little bit, but
It's soured of something. Yeah.
right. Alex and Edward, I guess, sold their shares to Sammy, and Sammy goes ahead, and you know,
it skyrockets right after that.
Yeah, Edward,
they go, you know, it wasn't moving fast enough for them or something, and they sold their shares back. They go, we're not happy with this. But then there was some later resentment because then it became like $100 million, you know, Cabo Wabo.
Yeah. So Edward was real happy with that. You know, I think that maybe has something to do with, you know, the splintering and the split there. But
a lot of things changed artists too with success. There's definitely a dark side to the business without a doubt. And there's nobody, even Eddie being so looked up to all over the place. There was also a lot of jealousy in the professional world. And just recently, I'm kind of seeing stuff now where people like Clapton and these people that he really looked up to said not the most flattering things about Ed when they were given the chance.
Yeah, you know, Clapton really disrespected Edward. You know, slammed him for the Blues Breaker song on the Starfleet project with Brian May, and Clapton saying he's not a real blues player. I've never interviewed Clapton, but he could be pretty fucking harsh in interviews. You know, he never wanted to talk about Cream. Well, Jesus God, you never played any better than you played on live Crossroads. I mean, I don't care what. but yeah, a lot of those guys disrespected him, and you know, it really bothered me. And you saw it later on. A lot of guitar players who sort of disrespected Edward early on. Edward passes, and all of a sudden, we're great buddies now, and we love you, Edward. That really bothers me. And there were some guys who did that. It just bothered me. I don't know if it was so much jealousy on Edward's part. Look, he was hurt by the way that what Clapton said, you know, and I'd introduced Edward to Richie Blackmore, and Richie Blackmore treated him like shit. I mean, that must have hurt him.
That was the other name that came up. Definitely was Richie. That was, it's too many notes.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
He was telling
but
that.
I think with Edward, it was more just sort of entire kind of holistic range of pressures that was on him, all that success. I mean, the label saying, man, you got to spoken or unspoken, man, you need to follow up that fucking 1984 record, man,
Right.
and the marriage, goes through complications. And I mean, look, let's face it, man, as time wore on, his drug thing got worse and worse. I saw it.
Right.
It was horrendous. Internally in the band, which always happens, bands are great buddies, and the first and second records when no one's making money and you're starving and pulling towards a common goal here, and the money starts coming in, the accolades, and that's pressure. And I saw it being manifested in him. I saw it as early as probably early 90s. I could sense that he was changing into this different version of this person that I knew, and it wasn't the nice person that I knew, and it was just all those things. And for me, I would take it personally. Oh my God, what have I said to him? What have I done? That's the kind of person I am. But yeah, those pressures are there. I mean, we see it over and over. Why is it that all of these musicians OD at a point in time when they have a record deal and they've had some success? It never happens before they get record deals. I don't mean to be glib about it.
Right.
But, I think there's some connecting tissue there, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I see it too in my professional life. I've always said that Steven and I are very similar, that we both sincerely want everybody to win. Like, can't we just all be our own bands and support each other and all kick ass and appreciate each other for how we are different or whatever? But not everybody shares that sentiment. And that's something that I'm lucky in the sense that I kind of made it late in a way that I'm mature enough to realize that. But yeah, there's definitely jealous people out there that hate you and crap talk you and stuff. And I guess it's how you deal with it. But it is upsetting, and it's hard to keep that positive energy up when you have stuff like that behind the scenes, messing with your confidence, messing with you mentally, and with the pressures like you're talking about, these huge labels expecting you to deliver the next 1984 record. The amount of pressure that is, you could see where you could start hitting the bottle more, partying, losing your mind.
It's a lot of pressure. I know that us, my own band, we're the same guys that played, back in the day in all the clubs. And I came up with this, actually. I think it's very smart. The fact that we're all still great friends is because we never did make it.
Right.
Right. We never had to squabble over the issues that come up out of that. And so I feel lucky, I'm still able to play with the four guys that we started at, because never was any success made. Maybe a little, but not enough there's no royalty checks dropping in my mailbox,
No.
I couldn't imagine what it is, because when you get there and you have, you have the pressures of making music, to pay the bills. What basically brought you to music was a way to distance yourself from the world. It's a passion. It's a creative force. But then when that becomes your paycheck, I mean, you know better than anybody, Erik, because you're a full-time musician. You've lived it. You've pulled it off, so. Yeah,
well, I mean, I've had to work, in the last 25 years. There's definitely been times where I was off. Steven was reunited with Rat, and I had to go. I mean, it wasn't the gig economy we have today where you could just go Uber or something like that. Or I guess I could have delivered pizzas or something. I always had to do telemarketing or something. I had to gift a cab. But no, I did whatever it took. We're in an interesting era right now, and I've kind of pivoted a little bit into the YouTube world, which is somewhat promising. I mean, I'd rather busk on YouTube, if you will, than have to go actually busk down at the pier over here where some people are trying to enjoy the beach with their family, and they got some band over there playing some crappy music on the pier. You wouldn't understand, but it's terrible. It happens over here. But no, I'd rather do this than go do deliveries or anything else. Use my talents in some regard. But yeah, no, this past couple years has been good where I haven't had to really do any other work or anything. And I'm just kind of winging it with the universe right now. And the opportunities that come, I'm just opening the door and letting
Yeah.
them on in. That's all you could do, right, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I've been lucky in that aspect. From the day I started writing, I never had to take any other gig.
That's great.
Now, mind you, I always tended to live below the radar. You know, I
Right.
realized, right, as a rock journalist, you know, you make 50 or 75 bucks a story. I mean, back then it was like, okay, you know, that's food for the week. You know, I was always good at sort of saving and looking ahead a little bit. But
You just wanted to pay your rent, right? As long as the rent was paid, you were happy.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, what I was doing and, you know, probably for you guys as well. I mean, you know, unless you can hit a home run with a band, you know, I always looked at guys who can make a living playing music. I think that's just the greatest because I know how incredibly hard it is, you know, to find that gig and working with Stephen Pearcy. It's like, wow, man, God, my hat's off to you. So, you know, I just think that's great. You know, people look on the outside and yes, you look at the successful bands and think, oh my God, that's amazing. You know, it's like, I don't know, half of 1%, you know, of the U2s and Aerosmiths in this world. Everybody else are, you know, working musicians and, you know, you probably work more hours than you would in an 8-hour-a-day gig. So, you know, people look from the outside. I wanted to make one sort of peripheral comment here. I just was looking over here in the comments in the chat thing, and someone said, hey, you know, talking about someone who's passed is real chicken shit, you know?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think that what we're doing is really looking at someone who is, yes, Edward is gone, but I think we're referencing back, at least I am, to when I knew him and he was alive and we were sitting in the same room and I could see, wow, this guy is not happy. You know, he's changed. So yeah, to take a shot at someone who's gone, I agree with you. That's pretty fucking low. I don't think I've ever done that in my 50 years of writing. So whoever wrote that, you know, yeah, that's none of us are here for that reason. I mean, I think we're here because we love the guy and we want to talk about it and keeping his legend alive, you know. And me writing that book, I mean, it had nothing to do with trying to trash a guy who wasn't here. Edward passed away 6 weeks.
I didn't see the comment yet, but we're gonna have that person beaten to death. No, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't. You know what? A lot of times they don't even mean it that way. I think he could be responding to somebody else in the chat too. Yeah. I mean, we're absolutely not doing that today. We all, there's out of the three of us, I know we all love Eddie Van Halen. I mean, Steve was the closest to him out of the three. So
celebration.
You're more than qualified to discuss your relationship, and the questions I'm asking you were just straight up like, what was your interpretation at this time? You know, you were there, you had talked to him, so I appreciate everything that you're sharing with us. I know Marsha, she gave a super chat tonight that I have to acknowledge here. Let me get that up on the screen. Steve, tell us a story about Eddie that you kept out of the book. She knows how to go for the goods.
This kind of goes back to Trish's comment about that I keep anything, you know, to myself, any stuff that, you know. I will tell you, Marsha, that there was it was almost as much about me. Well, it really was about Edward. So I think it was around the holidays, and I don't want to. Again, I'm not going to give you details, but it was on the holidays, and I was feeling kind of down, you know. And he was just so incredibly supportive, you know. He just said, come on, man, fuck you, just, you know. And he just was never like that. And sort of this little exchange we had, I didn't put in the book. You know, again, that was kind of like my little personal piece. But it was really just a reflection of how amazingly supportive he was, how respectful he was of me. You know, and again, I talk again about it. For Edward, it was all about respect from his bandmates, you know, respect from fans. I mean, that was really important to him. And if you disrespected him, he never let go of that.
Right.
You know, he never forgot that. And you know,
They say that we hold on to insults for like 20 years minimum, and we forget about compliments like within a week.
that's exactly right. That's human nature. It's the same way with the stock. You know, you own a stock, it goes up 20 points. It's like you're happy for 2 minutes, goes down 1 point. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to fucking buy bread tomorrow? You know, it's sad that human nature, that we're wired that way, but that is really the reality. And you know, thinking about it, extrapolating that thought out, you know, Van Halen, I mean, they were so successful in album after album, tour after tour. Edward's star is burning brighter. You know, it's like it takes more to feed that now. It's like, well, you know, the big tour isn't enough. We got to go do South America and, you know, vistas, you know, unknown, you know, and the show has to be bigger. And you know what I mean? I even if it's not spoken, I think that's just the way that they're probably wired, you know? So, yeah, respect, big thing for Edward, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, he earned everybody's respect right out of the gate, though, man. I mean, he's got to be the fastest shooting star on guitar next to Jimi Hendrix, to just explode.
Yeah.
Where it was keeping that respect, I guess, you know, more like it, I guess, through the years, right? I mean,
well, it took at least after Van Halen came out, it took years just for anybody to get even close to the guitar tone, and many still have not. I mean, you think about what he was able to create. You put that record on now, and it's just still mind-boggling.
But
the level of playing, it's just, come on.
He was a tone chaser, though, so he had to keep chasing. You know, he had that, just like today. I had to keep buying. I got to keep buying all these Brown sounds because the Brown sound kept changing. Wow. You get to the Sammy era, it really changed. That's when he, you know, really started throwing the heavy chorus and everything on there, and really wet. He was just going wetter and wetter. But it's amazing to hear his journey.
I think the comments that he made that he wasn't happy with the guitar tone on the first records.
Right.
What are you talking about? I don't know if he's trying to throw people a curve on that, but it's like,
well, he's probably just tired. I mean, I'm not to speak for the guy, but maybe he was just tired of hearing it. You know, you listen to your first band's demo and you're like, oh, this could have been this and that. And you feel like your ears have matured or whatever later on. This is the sound I have now. And, I find a good sound and I just stick with it. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
What I always
say that. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Just real quick. What I always thought, and I think I touch upon it in the book, is you know the other piece of it here that we haven't really touched on or too much anyway, is the fact that he, you know, obviously built his own guitars. So you know, think of the people who wrote like he did, who built their own guitars and played those guitars. I can think of two other people, both of whom he had relationships with, Brian May and Les Paul. And I was lucky enough to introduce him to Les Paul. So you're talking about a real rare fraternity there. But what I always thought was incredible was, so we look at Edward as a tone chaser and the Brown sound. So he's building his guitar, right? And so he's sitting there, and is he hearing in his head, you know, some little shadow of this, what's going to become the Brown sound? And is he thinking, well, for me to get that, you know, it's got to be a maple neck, and it's got to be a one pickup, and it's got to be wound this way. Excuse me, and I got to set the trim up this way. Or is it building the guitar, hearing it, and then the Brown sound gets created after the fact? You know, is it the chicken or the egg? You know.
So I can put a little perspective in that because I grew up with a guitar player in the 70s, and I would have called him a tone chaser because he would sit in, my mom was nice enough to let us have one of the bedrooms to rehearse in as a garage band. And he would sit there while all of us are outside partying in the backyard or whatever. And he would sit there and do nothing but screw with his guitar. And his tone was second to none on the stuff that he put together. And he was that kind of guy. So I could relate to that when I heard that. It's because they just sit there and fuck with it until they find exactly what they're looking for. And
well,
that's
the point. So you're saying that he heard something.
Oh yeah.
So Edward heard something, some cross between I don't know, Clapton Cream era and some Jimmy Page Les Paul Marshall thing, or
I think he appreciated Jimmy Page's like clarity when he played, because it seems like Ed, his tone was never like overly saturated. You know what I mean? He had to keep it to where he could get the clarity when he was individually or hitting those chords or individually hitting the notes that you had to hear every little note in there. Yeah,
it's very true. That's been mimicked by a lot of people who are really good at playing the Edward Van Halen thing. Is like turn down the gain. It's too much gain. Turn it down. And that's, that's where I live. Too much gain destroys it and makes it fizzy and fuzzy and bright and not even bright's okay, but you don't want that glass breaking sort of thing.
He did have, I think, some techs helping to trigger some of his effects. In the last shows that Ed did, it looked like he was controlling a good amount of it himself. I saw a pedal board up front, and I could see that he had to get it just right to step on a few of those things. It's hard to dance around with the pedals and all that.
Yes.
We're getting to a point now where it is like the easiest time to be a guitar player with these Tone X. I got this thing, Tone X. I modeled my Splawn with it. It lives in the boxes. Scott Splawn heard this box. He's like, man, it's scary, the voodoo that they could just take this, AI thing to read an amp, and the next thing you know, it's just in this box and you're taking it with you. But for example, we're working on that record and we weren't sure the tone we were hearing in our head. We know we kind of, but the time it would take to plug in a bunch of different amps and dial them in, Matt has all those IK multimedia stuff. He's just zipping through. Oh, let's see what Eddie Van Halen has for us to, play with today. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad that it looks like there's a catch to the AI thing. That looks like everybody that's been cheating is about to get exposed, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Unless they want to pay for these companies to keep quiet about it, there's going to be some kind of monthly "we know you cheated" fee.
So I know nothing about that stuff because I don't, even though I'm in technology for my day job, I don't know anything about how that stuff works. Even I don't think I've ever done a chat GPT. Is that what it's called?
You're right.
I've never used it.
It's frightening.
I don't even know what it is.
It's terrible. Don't even go there. Right,
I heard about
it's stupid.
Yeah. All I know is I heard on Rick
It's
Beato,
lazy.
Rick Beato did a thing on the AI stuff, and it was pretty funny because the lyrics are exactly what you would think from an AI. Like you guys were talking earlier, it looks very contrived,
Right. I've never heard music that I like. The only thing that's somewhat amusing is the AI where they're like take a hit song and do a old jazz version of it or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's about it. But the song was written actually by humans at some point that this thing is doing remixes of or whatever.
Yeah.
I have not heard anything that's from scratch from an AI that my ears liked, but we're old now, so I don't know. We got old ears, guys.
Yeah, that's true.
What time? Well, I gotta say this has been an amazing Van Halen hangout. So much more to learn about this awesome 26-year journey with Edward Van Halen. You got to trust me. I had the audiobook and I loved it. So if you don't read so good and you want to have Steve Rosen read it to you, go to audible.com and you won't be disappointed. I really did feel it. I'm not BSing that. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was in Steve's apartment when he was reading it to me. And then when he pulls out the tapes he has, you get chills, listening to it. You're listening to a real private thing that was a huge part of Steve's life. And I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed with this. So when we're done tonight, head over and let's get some more orders on this Tonechaser book from Steve Rosen that should win a Pulitzer Prize. If it was up to me,
I agree.
He'd have that. Head over to mahaffyamps.com. I have some other banners too. I don't know if I still have them. Let's see what we got. SplawnGuitars.com. Come on, people. Splawn's here tonight.
Yeah.
We got to show some love. That's right.
I've heard their amps and they're phenomenal.
And I'm going to hit that comment, but they did thank you for that. Brian Eisinger, who does all the Tolex on the Splawn calves. We're happy to have him in our show tonight. Hey, how you doing, Brian? And he was very appreciative that you said that. PariahPickups.com. Head over and check out these guitar pickups. I'm now a Pariah pickup guy or whatever. They asked me if I want to be an artist, and I said, of course I do. What other ticker tape do I have? Oh yeah, The Project. If you guys heard Death of Me, look up the band The Project, Death of Me. This is the new awesome band that I'm playing in addition to playing for Stephen Piercy. Check out the video, and we got a new agent, AFM Entertainment, Len at afmentertainment.com. Also, man, books Bad Marriage, if you've heard of Bad Marriage. But yeah, good stuff. And most importantly, on Sunday night, if you're in the Southern California area, head over to the Coach House to see the original Stryker band and to hear the Mahaffay Amps live with your own old ears or young ears. I don't know. I mean, if they do serve dinner there, maybe you could go with your parents. Is it all ages at this thing?
It is all ages. So it's like I mentioned earlier, it's a very nice place.
Yeah.
It never feels nobody smokes anymore, but it never feels like you're closed in or anything.
Right.
It's a great club.
Here's the question. Are you going to do the Pee Wee Herman dance on the dinner tables?
Yes.
During your guitar solo?
Yes, I will do that. No.
That would be awesome. That would be worth the price of admission. If I have to pay, I was hoping you'd put me on the list. But
Eric, can I do a shout out?
Yes, you can, sir. Please do.
Okay. I want to do this because we have a place called Knuckleheads in San Clemente. It's another little of these clubs that all the original bands get to play at and cover bands. But I wanted to give a shout out to Isaac. And let me open my phone just so I get the name of his band right. Come on, where is it? Okay. So they're playing Knuckleheads, and they're a really cool group. Isaac's last name is Osman. He just happens to be my son's boss, by the way.
Okay.
But the band is called the Soul Beacons. And let me tell you, Steve, you got to see these guys. These guys get out there and they play rhythm and blues stuff. They bring a real B3 in with a Leslie, and you get to listen to this, and it's just captivating. But anyways, I want to send a shout out to them because they're just a phenomenal little group. And there's a lot of music happening in South Orange County here, a lot of original music. So I'm always, promoting that. It's like, go out and see the original bands. There's so much great stuff to see out there.
Yeah.
Where you're at, like the old days. We went to clubs to see Rat. That's what we did. That's where we went to see the bands before they made it, because we knew somebody was going to make it, and we would have been there to see it,
Right.
So it's still out.
Kudos to us for keeping the electric guitar alive so kids remember.
Yes.
But that's what it's all about. Well, super stoked to have you gentlemen here tonight. This was actually my first interview show on Unleashed. It's thus far just been myself. So Steve, you're my first legit guest with Tris. So thank you so much. This is a historical day.
So I'm the guinea pig. Nice.
That's
Thanks,
right. Exactly. But gentlemen, it's been awesome, and I wish you the happiest of holidays. Tris, I will see you on Sunday.
Yep.
At your show. Steve, come on the show anytime.
Thank you so much, man.
I want to do more Van Halen nights, sir. And before you leave.
Very cool.
All right. Take care, Steve. We'll see you soon.
All right.
All
Happy
right.
holidays.
Yeah, Tris, I'm gonna let you go too, buddy. I'm gonna talk to my
Right.
peeps here before I get out of Dodge. And Merry Christmas to you. I'll see you soon. Wow, guys. That was a pretty amazing Van Halen night. And I know people in the chat were like, oh, I thought it was Fireball Friday. It is. I had to wait for the guests to leave. Oh, my God. Oh. You know, I was in Walmart last night, and I almost bought a big candy cane thing of Fireballs. It was like 10 Fireballs in this candy cane for $10 is this deal that they have going right now at Walmart. I might have to go back for that. Danger is my business. Now, let me get over and see some comments that I didn't get to tonight. Marsha, thank you so much for your super chat, by the way. Let me see here. Antonio, you write songs and rip on guitar, Eric. Well, thank you, Antonio. I appreciate that, sir. Doc Martin and the Flannels. I rep at Splon Guitars Quick Rod every weekend in my 90s cover band. People always talk to me about it. It's, yeah, I've always been super proud to have the Splon amps. It was just kind of a cool thing when I was rolling through North Carolina about 20 years ago, believe it or not. And I was told about the legend of Splon. I had a buddy, Eddie, that who's ill right now. I'm always praying for him. But he's the one that hooked us up, and I've played those amps ever since. I mean, we rolled the tour bus to the Splon factory, and I bought 2 full stacks back then, and I still have them. And recently, I just got a new quick rod, probably like I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and they're freaking awesome. Okay, Freedom Fighter. I chase tone and riffs over speed any day. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like guitar solos and stuff, certainly there's some ones that keep us engaged for a long time, but I feel like those are the more Deep Purple kind of solos that actually make sense and take you somewhere and progress over time. But when people are just like throwing in a gabillion notes, no, that doesn't do anything, for me personally. Black Phillip, bring the fright bite to YouTube, Eric. I'll be there for sure. We'll truly miss the cap, though. Been there since you came on board. Oh, thanks, Black Phillip. You never know, man. I don't know what's going on with Chris. He might just be tripping, dude. I don't know what's happening. He seemed like he was genuinely trying to help me in some capacity. So it wasn't, a mean-spirited thing in that capacity, but I was surprised. I was very surprised, of course, after 3 years of, trying to build the show up. But Chris is one of the hardest working guys. He does a lot of shows with Seth, the CMS, and everything. And I don't know, maybe he just felt like, when you have a kid and they graduate college, and you're like, boy, it's time for you to move out. You know what I mean? I kind of felt like he was going more from that angle. You know what I mean? Like, son, you're a grown man now. You got your own show. Why don't you go out and be successful? Like, that's kind of how I took it from Chris. So I hope nobody took it differently or give the guy a hard time. And he did mention wanting a guest on the show and come on. So it is sad. It's been a sad week. As you guys know, my stepfather passed away. I don't want to talk about it too much because it just happened and it was so upsetting. I had to, we did a final goodbye today, where we had to, do a viewing, and it was pretty heavy duty, but I mean, I got to keep the Friday night parties going, man. So yeah, if I seem a little subdued, it was a rough day, but it's the circle of life. Let me see here. Tris Mahaffay, thank you for the kind words, friend. From Splon, yep. Let's see, Mercuro Chrome Blues. I had early Van Halen, but still loved 5150. I totally loved 5150. I was all in. I mean, I'm trying to think of when I first, probably around Fair Warning was when I really started getting into Van Halen, like when they had their first like live videos they were showing. So This Is Love. Some of the videos off Diver Down, I remember. Um, of course, I was starting to hear some Van Halen on the radio. But yeah, by the time 1984 came out, man, it was just Van Halen had changed my life so much. Whatever Eddie could poop in a box, and I would have bought it and loved it. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Thomas Bailey, Alex Van Hacken's brother-in-law managed Extreme, and after Sammy's longtime manager died, managed Van Halen. Well, that's an interesting little factoid, Thomas. Thank you for sharing that. Chris Kruger, Ed and Alex sold their shares because they said they were scared of their well-being and security being in Mexico. Well, I kind of get that. I mean, with the cartels have always been a problem, but Cabo is like one of the nicer places. It's rare for them to put a travel advisory on Cabo. I mean, very rare. Recently that did happen where they were saying not to go there, but I was surprised. I mean, I never was hearing that in the time that the Cabo Wabo thing was going down. And I don't know about you guys. I've actually been to Sammy's place. First time I was there was in 1999 when I was playing with 13A, and things were kind of happening for us, but we got put on some festival that was in Cabo. And next thing I know, we were on a little plane flying out there, and the whole band, we all stayed in one hotel room, but it was so gorgeous down there. And I remember we just drank beers all day long. We were drinking Pacificos. And then at the end of the day, the five, binge drinking band members we would take all our bottles down, and you could like trade in your bottles for more beers. That's how cool it is there. Gorgeous ocean and the sands. But then one of the nights we got to play Sammy's Cabo Wabo Cantina, and I just thought that was the coolest freaking thing. There was a cover band in there. I remember playing Van Halen, all Mexican dudes in there, and they were playing great. It was very, very cool. Thomas, I saw Eddie on the Balance tour, and he wasn't that great. Took him several times to play the right chord intro songs. When Sammy could jump in, he was too effed up. Interesting, Yeah, and these were different times too. I mean, it wasn't the era we're in today where you could go, what band? Van Halen from last night, and just go onto YouTube, and there's like 1,000 video cameras of people that bootleg the whole concert and put it up. They were still able to keep a pretty tight lid on such a thing, and I'm sure there was a ton of shitty performances by bands back until that time. I mean, if you look at what one glaring thing that's changed with the advancement of cell phones is now most bands fake it because they're so scared to have videos of them not playing at their best, that they've actually opted to go to basically lip sync, or at the most play along with these tracks where the main vocals are coming through great, or the guitar tracks are still happening behind the scenes, or whatever. It's goofy. I don't know. I really feel disingenuous personally when I'm on stage and that sort of thing's happening, specifically with vocals. I don't want to mention the band I played in that did that. But I refused. I was like, I'm going to sing on this anyway. I'm sure it'll sound fatter with me singing it anyway, but I had a lot of pride in being able to like sing live, and I just didn't want to compromise that. I would, though, for the right amount of money, I would compromise it. And when you think about, all the big events for like the holidays, say your band's asked to play the Christmas special or the New Year's Eve special or the Super Bowl halftime. I mean, you're not going to get a good sound if you're actually playing. The only chance you have of this thing going off without a hitch is to be up there lip syncing it, or however they do it. They have you perform it earlier in the day and they play that live version. I mean, when you get to that level of fame, those things are kind of expected, and I'm sure I'll be willing to do that at that time. Thomas says, Eddie and Alex used to get effed up on Schlitz beer and rock gut. Yeah. One funny story that Piercy used to tell me was that Ed used to stash booze at Steven's house to keep it from Valerie Bertinelli. Like he would have, I don't know what kind of, if it was beers or vodka or what that would be. It literally, he would keep it in Steven's bushes and drive in the neighborhood to get his booze that way. The story never made any sense to me. I don't know why he wouldn't just go. I mean, you're Eddie Van Halen, just take your Lamborghini and go to the liquor store. I didn't understand why he had to like stash it there. I don't know. Valerie had cameras at every liquor store in Malibu. I don't know if that was what was going on, but that's a story Steven likes to tell. T-Cuz, Erik was burning rubber 1-800-Flowers, yo. And I'll do it again. I'm glad I haven't this year had to go back there, dude. To be honest, I'm just kind of hanging in there somehow. There's been enough work coming in. One fast and easy. So many gone. Rest in peace, Chris Hagar. Yes, that was very, very sad to lose Chris. You know, I saw a Sin Crazy post, and I need to find that because I've been taking so long on Gary's song, and I feel terrible about it. Like when he first came to me, I didn't have a ton of stuff going on, and I was like, yeah, I got time to help you redo this whole song and this and that. And then I got so busy so fast, and they've been so patient with me. I'm only bringing this up because it was really cool that I got the Van Halen Brown sound tones, because I'm about to do this like little lead section for him, and I wanted to have it sound really good, and I was having trouble like getting a tone that I liked. And I'm still looking for Gary's comment, but I do see one from Eternal Servant here. I'm one of a few who has not much interest in Van Halen. Once I got a free ticket at Tokyo Dome show with Sammy in 88 or 89, Sammy impressed me the most. Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I'm 53 years old. I was too young to see Van Halen up until 1984. I was like 12 years old when 1984 came out, so I was just taping their videos, you know, on MTV. My first time I got to see Van Halen live was actually at the Monsters of Rock, that I love to talk about. That I was at that show with Van Halen and Scorpions and Metallica, Kingdom Come, Dokken. That was my first time seeing him. And then I also saw Van Halen on the OU812 tour. And you know, again, it hadn't been that many years since I, you know, was completely head over heels for Eddie. So I still enjoyed myself at the show, and he still kind of had it together at that point. I feel like it was the 90s Ed that was kind of going off the rails, if you will. And I had just moved on. I mean, I've been trying to be a professional musician since I was about 18 years old, and any money I had went into that, not necessarily buying people's records, and not if it was a free concert, I went. But basically going into the music business was like a priest, like taking an oath of poverty, right? Let me see here. Let's see, John Evans. They were fantastic at Monsters of Rock at Rice. So many people and so hot in Houston that day. Yeah. Let me see here. Keep going. What, Spunkers? Erik, we are getting ready to fix up your guitar. Well, sir, that is pretty awesome to hear, because I like that guitar, and I'm like, what happened to it? And now that I'm going to be returning to the stage in 2026, I'm gonna need one of those fancy whammy bars and all that stuff, because yeah. Anyways, Rockin' Robin 5150, huge Van Halen fan still to this day. Awesome episode. Well, and thank you, ma'am. And you changed your name, right? Because it was something else, right? And I couldn't read it. Now I can. Now it's Rockin' Robin 5150. And I thank you for doing that, ma'am. Okay. Let's see. What is this? Spawn. All of our amps are named after race cars. That's right. Love it, love it, love it. T-Cuz. Snorting whiskey, drinking cocaine. Yeah. That's a Pat Travers vocal there. I got to hang out with Pat Travers, T-Cuz. once, and it was pretty freaking dope. We were on tour, and whatever state we were in, Pat was playing a venue on the, you know, when you're on a travel day and you get to the place you're going to be playing the next day. But that night that we pulled in, Pat was playing the place that we were going to play, and they usually, when that happens, the venue will let us go down there. And I went down and saw Pat Travers. I was blown away at how rocking it was and what a cool just rock show. And afterwards, I had said who I was, and he didn't, know me personally or anything, but Pat was like so hospitable and cool. He had like a Winnebago kind of RV at this gig, and he totally like invited me to hang out after. We smoked a doobie. It was pretty badass. This ties into Van Halen a little. I don't remember how it came up, but he definitely claimed that Ed stole the tapping thing from him, which I don't think he did. But Pat threw that out there, which I thought was interesting, that he was doing that first. You hear that a lot. Now get off my lawn. Let me see here. Did I ever do this one? Oh yeah, I did the rep for that. Going through. Dale Groot. Late but present. Well, Dale, thanks for showing up, sir. We appreciate that. Let me see. Small guitars. Love Carlos' style of playing. Very unorthodox. Is that Carlos Santana or Carlos Cavazo? I mean, they both have cool styles. Let me see. I don't want to miss any good comments here. Thomas. Eric, you look pale, man. You well, aren't you in Cali? Get some sun, dude. Less fireball. Do I look that pale, guys? I mean, I don't know. It was a rough day for me, but no, I'm still been hitting the gym. I think I look all right, This is all natty, bro. All natty. Let's see here. 21 FLHX. Clapton is as 100% boring AF. Yeah, I love Clapton. I loved all his solo work. I don't know. People give the guy a hard time. And that was lame of him to say that to Eddie. I mean, you would think that part of being a classy guy, and certainly when you've reached a certain level of success, there's no reason for you to throw shade at anybody. Like, it shouldn't even be on your radar or matter. I don't know, man. It was weird. Thomas Bailey, no brown M&Ms though. Of course, Thomas referring to Van Halen's Rider back in the day, where they were just goofing around and thought it'd be funny to like say something about, or make them go out of their way to pull all the brown M&Ms out. God, that would take a long time. Chris Kruger, 1865. Sammy's comment in his book about how terrible Ed treated people when he was high on drugs is why Alex has completely blackballed him. Well, yeah, I mean, he was probably being honest, but, I could see where his brother would be offended by that, man. Mess with somebody's bro. Let me see. Thomas, yeah, Eruption had a shitty sound, right? He's being sarcastic, of course. Let me see. User Brian, 5150. Thank God for Steve getting those interviews. Priceless from Eddie. Really is. I mean, you could see talking to Steve, how enamored he was with Eddie back then. And when you're reading the book, you can, get a feel for Steve Rosen's confidence, or lack thereof in some cases, you know what I mean? Where he was trying to keep a balance with his professional writing career and his friendship with Eddie, this guy that was just a shooting star that was just burning so bright. And, he had befriended Steve, it's just interesting. But I do get that, like, I'm certainly not a guy who has like too many friends that are in the business. I mean, I'm friends with Pete Evick and the Brett Michaels band, Dean and Norman and some people like that I will call friends. But I'd say, guys that actually play in the business, I could probably count them on 10 fingers. I do tend to like to be friends with normal people, or anybody who at least just treats you like a normal person. You know what I mean? I tend to be cool. People that come up to me and, just, respectful to each other back and forth. I end up being friends with them forever, probably, But I could see where, Steve, obviously talking to him, you can see he's a great guy. And it's pretty cool. I mean, that, Eddie dug him and, you know, actually would go and cruise over to his house and stuff. It's crazy. T-Cuz, Ronnie Montrose with Templeman, the common denominator. Yes. Nobody could play an electric drill on their guitar like Eddie Van Halen Pound Cake. Yeah, Thomas. I mean, I feel like he might not have been the first guy to do that. I feel like Paul Gilbert might have done it first. Am I wrong, guys? Am I right? But he definitely used it the best. I mean, the beginning of Pound Cake was pretty sick. And I think when they came out with that song, it had been a minute since they had any hits. I remember they played it on that MTV awards show, and it was pretty badass. He had that drill sitting on the drum riser, and he'd have to run over to it and stick it back down. And I mean, there was room for error on that, you know, definitely. Let me see here. With AI, there's no talent, just lazy and uncreative. Oh, I'm going to have to agree with that. More Spawn. Love you, Eric. Great live. Yes, sir. Chris Kruger, where's Mahaffay Amps located? Not too far from me. I mean, I'm in Oceanside. I feel like I drive to the Mahaffay factory, if you will. It's Tris has a whole studio for his band that's pretty badass, and it's also where he works on his amps and so forth. And it's only like 35 minutes from me. So I mean, he's kind of the Orange County area, I guess you would say, or just north of there. Splon, Bill Gray from Fozzy sent us some Pariah pickups for his guitar. What do you think of those? I like them. I mean, they sound pretty fat. They're just, you know, ultra wound. I have the Rip and Grind that I put in my Les Paul. And what's the other one? I don't have it right in front of me, but I'll remember. But yeah, I took the more like classic rock kind of sounding ones. These guys, Pariah Pickups makes all kinds of different pickups depending on what you're into. If you're even black metal and stuff, they have all that's. Oh, Ranker Head. The other one I have is the Ranker Head. So if you want to get the ones I have in my Gibsons anyway, my SG and my Les Paul, the SG has the Ranker Head, and the Les Paul has the Rip and Grind on there. So pretty cool stuff. Thomas, cool stories, guys. Join late. We'll have to rewatch. Yeah, guys, rewatch. Share my videos. I know not everybody's a Marsha, you know, that can do super chats. That's okay though. I told you guys, I'm just happy you're here for the party, man. I'm never gonna like, you know, squeeze you guys for donations, if you will. I mean, just the more viewers we get, that's helpful to me. And you guys sharing these videos. Do you have a Van Halen fan in your life that you think would enjoy hearing this interview tonight? Get the URL to this video or that little share icon and share this stuff, man. I can't reach new heights without you guys. You gotta like get my channel out there. Fast and easy. Glub 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 glub. Is anybody smoking tonight? I haven't smoked this nicotine vape. It's a nicotine vape. I swear. Splon Halen says 21 FLHX. Mighty Mouse 742. Is it true Johnny's new album is going to be titled Out of the Closet? Oh, come on. I don't think so. Okay. This is a John Evans, sorry for your loss, Eric and family. Oh my goodness, guys. Today I didn't want to throw a dark one on you guys going in, but oof, that was something else. My family was hysterical today, dudes and dudettes. It's taken a lot for me to be here tonight. Ticas El Haleno, Mexican Van Halen. Yeah, that's kind of what I guess that band was called back when I saw him. Thomas Bailey. Chris Holmes said the same thing. He used to stash booze in his business to hide from his tiger mom as a teenager. The story, I mean, it just doesn't work sense, though, right? I mean, but it's a nice story. I'll let Steven continue to tell that story. That's somebody I got to get on the Unleashed at some point. I got to get Piercy on here. Thomas again. Valerie Bertinelli said she had a gram of coke and a glass vial at her wedding to Eddie. Well, that is according to Thomas Bailey, folks. I don't know if that's true or not. And then we got one last. Chris Crewer, condolences regarding your stepfather. Yes, thank you. He really was. I mean, when you think about, your mom getting remarried, especially when you're a young teenager, you're very protective of your mom. And Carlos, my stepdad, was such a nice man to her and companion, and he was just a sweet soul. He was a writer. He taught Spanish at Palomar College here in North County. I remember back before we had all the crazy cable and internet that we have today, we didn't have too many channels, and we had a public access channel called the Palomar Channel, and Carlos was always on with his partner Janet. Janet, little side note, her son made all the early Tool videos for on Anima and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting little added collection. He sadly passed away. But anyways, Carlos used to get recognized all over the place. Hey, you're the Spanish TV guy. But I was just thinking, this guy's known me for so long. I mean, I remember he was with my mom when I was like 16, and I called them into my bedroom to tell them that I was going to go forth to be a rock star. I have it. I told them I have it. Whatever it is, I have it. And I remember I had a little tiny amp, and I told them to come upstairs, and I don't even know what riff I played them, but I was like, I was basically going to prove to them that, yes, I'm going to prove it to you right now that this is where I'm going. And I ain't looking back. And I could tell by the way they were looking at me that I was nuts, and this was a very bad idea. But he's known me that long. Like, I feel like the guy's known me almost 40 years. So it was heavy. And he has kids that are part of our family, Carlos and David and Kali, and this wonderful man has passed on, and we're all just sitting here just trying to comprehend what's going on. And then of course there's my mother, who that's that was her guy, and so everything's changed now. We're just at a new chapter. I said that to my stepbrother today. I'm like, hey man, now we're the elders, and it's hard to come up with the right words in these situations, but yeah, we're gonna deal with it. But yeah, Christmas is canceled. as far as that goes, Christmas is canceled, guys. For me, anyway. Hopefully not for you guys. I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas. I won't be seeing you guys till after Christmas. I'll be seeing you next Friday. I expect to see all of you back here again. I know that, dude. That was for Spicoli. I feel like I didn't give Spicoli enough love tonight.
Relax. All right.
Spicoli, are you partying, buddy? Please tell me you're still here. Did you hear that last one?
Hey, bud. Let's party.
That's right. Well, that's been a great show, guys. I think we're going to end the hang tonight. I really need you guys to come check out Dahlia at her first show at the Fright Bite with Count Cracula on Tuesday. It's going to be a little later show because it's kind of an adult show, but you're going to love it. It's going to be so much fun. I'm excited. Count Cracula is going to be out to do this with her. So we'll see you guys Tuesday. Be cool and be kind to